Does my friend leave the room whenever we have a discussion? Why do people think I'm too picky and nobody wants to work with me? Or why do people think that I'm a pushover? Why do we label each other in a negative way? Let's Talk About WAGs is a series of recordings that help to minimize misunderstandings. Information provided is suitable for all age groups, and it helps us to understand ourselves and others, understand why certain behaviors that I do bug others, and why certain people's behavior bug me, and how we can get around this and interact with each other in a more efficient manner. To help minimize misunderstandings, first we have to understand how we should view ourselves and others. And to do that, I would like to use the analogy of the iceberg. Now, the iceberg is not made of one part. It's not just what we observe or what is above sea level. The above sea level part is the part that is observable, but it is dependent and carried by the submerged part which we cannot see under the water. We can carry this analogy of the iceberg to viewing ourselves and others. Like the iceberg, we are made of two parts. There's a complex part, a hidden part that people don't know much about, and that is our belief system, our values, our thoughts, feelings, all these things that make us who we are that people don't usually know much about. And then there is that part which everybody sees, the observable part of ourselves, and this is usually our words, actions, gestures, and how we dress, and so on. And this is what I call WAGs. And so my WAGs can be different than your WAGs, and the differences between these WAGs is what sometimes leads to misunderstandings. So we need to understand the differences in the WAGs between people, and also the relationship between the two parts of ourselves, how the hidden part of ourselves actually affects how we analyze the WAGs of others, and that can result in misunderstandings. For example, my thoughts and my feelings are part of the hidden part of myself. Now, people don't usually know my thoughts or my feelings. However, if these thoughts and feelings get translated into WAGs, they become part of the observable me. And so this leads to people understanding now what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling, because I am verbalizing or I am doing things that reflect these thoughts and feelings. However, if these thoughts and feelings, part of the hidden part of me, are not translated into WAGs, they remain in the hidden part of myself. People cannot tell, they cannot read my mind, they cannot know my thoughts and feelings unless they are translated into WAGs. So from this I want to emphasize that there's a relationship between the hidden and the observable part of ourselves, and how we translate the thoughts and the feeling and what's going on inside of me, how I translate it into WAGs, is my only way of communicating with people around me. So if I am careful, if I learn how to put or express the inner me into the proper WAGs, then I have more chance of people understanding me. If I don't translate it properly into these WAGs, then I fall into misunderstanding with others. Okay, let's talk about WAGs. If my WAGs are similar to your WAGs, what happens? Or as Lerner puts it, she wrote The Dance of Connection, if our communication is like a dance, and so I am putting out the same steps of the dance that you are putting out. Our WAGs are similar. We complement each other in this dance. And so what result is positive judgment or positive labeling. He's a nice guy, she's a cool lady, and so on. Now, what happens if our dance is not the same as the person that we are interacting with? If my WAGs are different than your WAGs, then everybody's dancing to a different beat. And so what happens in this case is negative labeling or negative judgment, Why is she so lazy? Why is he a pushover? And so on. Now, this recording, what I'm hoping we can do is we learn about wags, and we learn how to reciprocate with similar steps of the dance. He has these wags, and now I could or can put out my wags in a way that complement his or her wags, and so it results in positive interaction. This is one part. The second part, information provided in this recording will help us when we see somebody dancing to another tune. It will help us to understand why the wags are different, and it will help us to understand how we can still manage the different tune and result in a more positive interaction. So the things to remember from this recording is that no one can read our minds. We really have to, the way to communicate with everybody around us is through our wags. And so it is very important to know how to put out these wags so that people understand us and we have a positive interaction. And also we have to understand, why do we need to learn about wags and how we put out our wags? Because usually in life, if we dance the same dance as the person we're interacting with, this results in positive judgment. If we don't dance the same steps, then that results in negative. And also analyzing other people's wags also helps us to understand how to correct the situation and still come out with a positive interaction. Now, in order to do something useful with the information and to carry it through the other next recordings, we can do two lists. The first list is what wags of others bug me, what words that they usually say that trigger a negative response, or actions or gestures that really bug me. For this list, please split it into two. One list, write the wags of others who are in your age group or in the same level of power, like my peers. What wags bug you from these people? The other list is also what wags that bug me, but from people that are at a different level of power over me, or a different age group, like people who are my parents, for example, or my bosses, or people who are higher up in the power hierarchy or in the age group. Also, we can make another list, is which wags that I do are bugging others. You know, through your life, what people usually tell you: don't say this word, don't act this way, it bugs me. If you do this, this bugs me. So what are these wags that you've been told bug others? So we can make these two lists, and then as we listen to the other recordings, we can see how we can apply the new information to our situation based on these lists. Now, these are some of the good books and good references to read more about this. And I also have a channel, YouTube channel under my name, and I have recordings about culture, and I will put more about Let's Talk About Wags. And even if you listen to the short recordings about culture, it will also give you information that is useful in interpersonal interactions. Thank you.